Hi, what if quality of your code is maintained very high throughout the life cycle as well as maintenance of your project? SonarCube does that. SonarCube facilitates continuous code inspection and analysis. It integrates with almost all build tools and IDE. It supports more than 25 languages. This course is designed to have wide spectrum of understanding on various features and functionality available as a part of SonarCube and SonarCloud. You will get understanding on various rules, issues, quality gates, quality profiles, and administration of SonarCube as well as advanced features available within the SonarCube. Also, you will learn about Sonar Scanner and how to use the Sonar Scanner with other build tools like Maven, Gradle, and. You will also learn about SonarLint, which can integrate with IDE like Eclipse and provide real-time analytics on the code when you are developing. I'm sure you will get familiar with almost all the functionalities and features available within SonarCube, and you will enjoy the course as well. Welcome. Hi, let us understand the architecture of SonarCube. As such, SonarCube has three major components. One is the scanner, another one is the server, and another one is the database. Let us see in detail about how these components collaborate and what role it plays within the architecture of SonarCube. As such, Sonar supports more than 25 languages, and Sonar has a standalone scanner that's going to go over the code, analyze and get the report and send across the report to the server. It can be integrated with other build tools like Ant, Maven, Gradle, Jenkins, MS Build, and generate the report, submit the report to the server. And server is the heart of SonarCube, where it has three subcomponents: compute engine, search server, and a web server. Web server can be customized by adding a number of plugins. We will see in detail about each and every component further down the line. Let us have a quick summary. Compute engine is responsible for taking the report from the scanner, digest them, analyze them, and store it within a database. Search server, that's going to provide the option to retrieve the results faster and display it in the screen, or to provide that as a report to the end user in terms of where the vulnerability is, where the code smell, or where the defect is. And web server, that's going to provide a web UI to the developer or to the manager to browse the projects and see the status about various defects or code smells or vulnerability and change the status, as well as to do the configuration of the SonarCube instance. As such, SonarCube has a built-in database which can be used for test purpose, but otherwise in production, it will be integrated with an external database like MySQL, Oracle, Postgre, or MS SQL Server. Let us see in detail about these components. The first one is the SonarCube server. As we discussed, it has three subcomponents. Web server, that's going to take the main responsibility of providing the web UI and to browse the quality snapshots of various projects, as well as to do the configuration of SonarCube instance. And search server, that is powered by Elasticsearch, to search and retrieve the results faster and provide to the end user through the UI. And compute engine, that's going to take care of processing the report submitted by the scanner and save the report within the database or within the Elasticsearch server. Database, there will be only one instance, and it can be of Oracle, MS SQL, MySQL, or Postgre. And it has a built-in database, but that can be used only for testing purpose. That's going to store all the quality snapshots, rules, gateways. All this we will be discussing in detail, but it's going to store all the information that is required by the Sonar instance. And SonarCube comes with n number of built-in plugins to integrate with the source code management system for authentication or authorization of the external system, or with any enterprise authentication or authorization systems, as well as it can integrate with the external quality tools, as well as any reporting tools it can integrate with. And we can have the plugins to add more languages or more rules and gateways we can configure through the plugins. The final component, that is the Sonar Scanner, that is the working horse of SonarCube, that's going to do the actual analysis as a standalone, or it can integrate with other build tools like Maven, Ant, Gradle, MS Build, and generate the report and submit it to the server. Let us see in detail how these components creates a pipeline and coordinate and how to do the installation. As a quick summary, SonarCube architecture, it's very simple with three components, that is scanner, server and a database. Hi, let us understand what is code quality and its role being played within a development or any maintenance project. In any project, maintaining code quality is important in terms of maintainability of the code or a quick way to do the bug fixing. In every language, there are some rules and guidelines have been put in. So this is how a code should look like. Simple example, how many number of conditions can be put in and how many number of inner conditions have been put in. Like this, n number of rules and regulations have been put in. Breaching that particular rule, it's going to make or degrade the quality of the code. There are some tools available to make or have a check on the quality of the code, how much it is maintaining in terms of bugs, vulnerabilities as well as standards, and it's going to provide the report or metrics in terms of the quality as well as the standards being maintained within the project. And it plays a significant role by getting integrated as a part of the continuous delivery. So what happens, it acts like a gate or a checkpoint. Any code that is not meeting that specific quality standard, that will be stopped and it will be forced by the system on the developers to fix those quality standards. So how the workflow looks like? Any development or maintenance, when it is happening, the code, once it is fixed or developed, it will be made to get entered into the source control system. And there are some systems available to do the continuous build where it will get the copy of the code from the source control system and generate or make the build or the product. And that will get deployed into the system. So what quality check happens? The quality tools or the continuous inspection tools like SonarCube, that's going to check the quality based on the rules that have been predefined. For the project or for the language, there are some rules can be predefined, whether the source is adhering to that specific rule or not. There are a number of tools available. Simple example, SonarCube, Apache Ethos, Facebook Info, Proticode. All this are different projects, and this particular course is about SonarCube. It is available in various versions or various flavors, as well as it is available as a hosted solution as well. It can very well integrate with the IDE. IDE is Integrated Development Environment, and as and when the code is getting fixed or getting developed, it can provide the upfront insights and it makes sure the code is developed and the quality standard is maintained at the high level. As such, when it comes to the code quality, we define it as a 7-axis, that is identifying the potential bugs, adhering to the coding rules, and whether all the functions have been tested properly or not, that is the test coverage, whether every functionality have been tested or not, is there any duplication of the codes, whether proper comment standards have been followed for all the functions or all the blocks of the code, and in few languages we can even identify whether the proper design and architectural standards have been followed and how much amount of complexity have been put in within the code. If there are any possibility to reduce the complexity, it's going to provide the suggestion. In a quick summary, nowadays code quality have become a mandatory step to maintain the code quality at the development phase itself, and it needs to be maintained in a continuous fashion so that the quality of the code doesn't degrade at any point of time. Hi, let us have a quick understanding on the web UI of SonarCube server. Once the server gets started, by default, it has a web UI in port 9000. I can access by providing the host name and the port 9000. So it's going to get into the About page where I do have option to log in. The default user ID password is admin. I can log in and I can get into the administrator, and under the security options, I can get into the users, add more users, create groups. So all the configurations related to the security, I can do it within the administration section. Let's have a dedicated session on the administration. Now let's have a quick overview of the web UI. Once if I log in, it's going to provide me a quick summary on all the projects and the details about the projects in terms of number of bugs, vulnerability, code smell, coverage, and duplications. The left I do have option on filtering the projects which are in the failed state, past state or all the projects, where I can have the perspective on get only the risk. So how many projects and what is the percentage of the risk, the code coverage, duplication, or I can go ahead and have the overall status. I can sort based on different details in terms of the analysis date, security, maintainability, coverage, duplication, and size. And I can get into any specific project and see the details about that specific project. So where I'm going to have a quick summary on various informations like bugs, vulnerabilities, and what was the earlier state, and the new code, that is the difference between the earlier code and the new code, what's the difference. So this is built only once, and the list of issues that we have within the code, the entire list, and the security report based on different standards. This we can configure as a part of the quality profile, the code measure, and I can browse through the code as well. So this is the Java project that I had used. Against the code, what are all the issues do I have? I can go ahead and check by clicking this particular arrow mark in terms of what type of or the severity of the issue. It's going to give the issue type, that is it is a code smell, what category it is, what state it is in, and if I want to assign it to anyone, any specific user, I can assign, and how much time it's going to take in terms of fixing that particular issue. So I'll be in a position to browse the entire code and see all the issues available specific to that particular code. And what are all the activity happened against this particular project? So these are all the build happened against this particular project. Let me go ahead and do another build. So I'm going to remove this unused import statements. The analysis is done. Let me go ahead and check the report. I do have the third report as well. And there's a change in terms of the code smell. I can go ahead and check the issues or the overview, where I can check the code smell got reduced. In case if I wanted to mark a specific event that is having some significant difference, or if I wanted to have it, I can have a name to it. And this is the place where I will be checking the background task or any key. If I wanted to update, I can go ahead and update the key of this particular project. So this is the mapping to the property file that I have, so that it will get submitted to that specific project. And in case if I wanted to delete this particular project, I can get into the deletion and delete it. Any general settings if I wanted to change, I can go ahead and change over here. So these are all the default settings. In case if I wanted to override, I can go ahead and override. And quality profiles and rules, all it is going to derive from the default value. In case if I have multiple quality profile, I can go ahead and set specific to this particular project in terms of quality profile, quality gate, and what are all the custom measures. And any specific permission if I wanted to have, I can go ahead and set that specific permission for this specific project. So all these activities, that is overview, issues, security reports, measures, code, activity, and administration, is specific to the project that I have selected. And the options available, that is issues, rules, quality profiles, quality gates, that is overall for the entire instance of this particular SonarCube. So for all the projects, including what are all the issues I have and what are all the rules I have for various languages. In total, I have 2436 for various languages. For Java, I have 533 languages. These are all the default rules. I can go ahead and change the rules, the settings for independent rule. The same way I do have the quality profile. This is the default quality profile set across the instance. And this is the administration, where I will be doing the administration of SonarCube instance. Against the quality profile, gates, administration, we will have a detailed discussion on each and every piece further down the line. So this is a quick overview on the web UI of SonarCube instance, how the projects would get listed, how to navigate to an individual project or do any specific administration, or how to navigate to the quality profile specific to the project or the global settings for the entire instance. Hi, let us understand how to download and install SonarCube as well as Sonar Scanner. SonarCube can be downloaded from this specific location and it needs Java 8 to be configured. And SonarCube comes with different flavors, that is Community, Developer, Enterprise and Data Center Edition. Community Edition is open source and it's a free edition. Various features of various plans can be available from this specific location, and Community Edition is free and open source. Depending on the requirement and the features available with various versions, the license can be acquired from Sonar source. SonarCube is available as a hosted version as well, where it is free for open source projects which are hosted as a part of GitHub, Bitbucket or Azure DevOps, where it has all the features and there are no limitations for the open source projects. Now let us see how to install the Sonar server. Installation of Sonar server is as simple as download the zip file and unzip it. I'm using it in a Windows operating system. So within the Sonar installation and the bin folder, there will be a separate dedicated folder specific to the operating system. So once the SonarCube is unzipped, this is how the folder structure looks like. Within the bin folder, I do have various folders specific to the operating system like Linux, Mac OS or Windows. I'm getting into the Windows operating system and I'm going to execute this startsonar.bat. I'm getting into the command prompt of this specific location and I'm executing this specific command startsonar.bat. Once we execute the command startsonar.bat, it's going to create the Sonar service up and running and it will start with a built-in database. We will see later how to configure a custom database. As of now, the web server and the database, all the required utilities plugins would get started and it's going to provide a web UI in port 9000. Since it is running locally, I can access the port 9000. It's going to provide a quick summary. I can log into the console using the default user ID password admin. So this is the web UI where we are going to play around in and out about all the functionalities, where we can see about various projects available, what are all the issues, rules, quality profiles, gates, administration of various functionalities available within the SonarCube. I should be in a position to see various projects, its coverage, code smell, overview, what are all the issues, bugs, vulnerabilities. We are going to see in and out about how to generate the report, how to access the report, various features available within the reports we are going to see down the line. Installation of Sonar server is as simple as unzipping the file and executing the start sonar executable within the folder specific to the operating system we are operating on. Once the server gets started, by default it runs in the port 9000. So we can provide the host name and the port and provide the default credentials and access the web UI. Hi, I do have SonarCube server running as a part of port 9000 and this is the default web page. I do have a number of projects. Let's understand how to install Sonar Scanner and submit report to the server and see the sample report. Sonar Scanner can be downloaded from this specific location and it will be a zip file. All I need to do is unzip in any comfortable location. In my system, in this specific location, I have unzipped the Sonar Scanner. All I need to do is add this particular path as a part of an environmental variable Sonar Scanner home so that I can use that specific path in any directory location and add the bin folder as a part of the path so that I can execute the command Sonar Scanner command from any location. So the two basic requirements, one is to add the environmental variable Sonar Scanner home in Windows. In Windows, right click, system properties, advanced system settings, environment variables, and here I have added Sonar Scanner home as an environment variable, and as a part of the path I have added the Sonar Scanner home /bin within the path. So all the commands within the bin can be executed. So within the bin I do have a command called sonarscanner.bat. That's the one that will be executed to run the scanner. And every project can have its own configurations, or globally I can control the scanner from the conf folder. I can have a properties sonarscanner.properties where I can control in which host and in which port it is running. In case if I want anything very specific to the project, I can have a dedicated property for the project as well. Now let us create a sample project and run this particular scanner. I can use any IDE or directly without using IDE also I can run the scanner. Let me go ahead and create a sample project. For understanding purpose, I have considered a Java project. I'm going to create a new Java project, demo 2. I'll be creating a sample Java file. Let me use the package. Let me have some sample code. I'll be adding this particular code as a downloadable as a part of the course. So no need to retype the code. Let me go ahead and put in some sample code. Don't worry about the syntax if you are not from Java background. I have created some sample vulnerabilities as well as bugs. Simple example, if you look into this particular for loop, I have put in a condition I, it's starting from 10. The condition is I less than 10 and it's going to start incrementing. The control will never get into this particular for loop. This is a bug. Let me go ahead and create a property file for this particular project. All I need to do is create a property file, sonar-project.properties. Here I need to put in the URL in case if it is other than the global configuration. I need to put in a project key and I'll give a sample name as well. I'll put in few configurations like it's not going to read the code from a source control management system and what is the language of this particular project so that it can use the rules according to this specific language. Sonar is having built-in rules for each and every language. Simple example, for Java, there are around 540 rules. Like what are all the rules which are considered as vulnerability, what are all the rules considered as a bugs, it's already predefined. In case if I want to customize, I can go ahead and customize the rules, vulnerabilities, and how to customize, we will be seeing it in the future sessions. Now I'm going to use the default settings. So with this configuration, I'm going to run the Sonar Scanner. So what do we have? I do have the Sonar server running as a part of port 9000 and I do have a small code base, that is a Java code base, and I have configured the Sonar Scanner properties and it is installed, it's added as a part of the path. I have mentioned where the Sonar server is running and what is the language or rule that needs to be applied, and that is configured as a part of this specific properties, Sonar project.properties. All I need to do is I need to get into this specific location. So within the specific location, I need to run the Sonar Scanner. Since it is available as a part of the path, I should be in a position to execute this particular command, Sonar Scanner.bat. This is going to use the configuration and generate the report, submit it to the server. The scanner will scan the code base, generate all the bugs, vulnerabilities or code smell available, and it will submit the report to the SonarQube server. Let me go ahead and submit this particular command. The code is analyzed and it is submitted to the server. Depending on the size of the report, it may take little longer time. Since it's a small project, it should get updated, or otherwise I can check the status from this specific location. Let me access. There may be some projects where the report will be happening for millions of lines of code and it might take little longer time. So here it is success. I can go ahead and refresh the projects. So I do have this particular project that I have submitted. It looks like it has 1 bug, 3 vulnerabilities and 6 code smells. I can click in this particular project and check what are all the bugs available. At this point of time, don't worry about what is this bug, vulnerability, code smell. We are going to have detailed discussion about each and every component of this specific UI down the line. Let me show a small sample. If I get into this specific bug, I'll be in a position to check what this particular bug is about. So it's very clearly saying this loop will never get executed, and I can assign this particular bug to anyone, or what is the status of this particular bug, severity of it, all that I can change it over here. And there are other code smells. Let me look into the vulnerability. So the vulnerability, it is saying make this as a final or protected. Let me go ahead and remove that specific for loop and check what happens to this particular bug. For simple understanding purpose, I have corrected this particular loop so that it will get executed at least n number of times. Let me go ahead and run the scanner. I have not executed the code. Let me go ahead and run the scanner. This we call it as a standalone scanner. We can integrate the scanner with the other build tools as well. The key is the unique identifier so that the next time when the report is getting submitted, what are all the bugs or vulnerabilities got resolved and what happened to the status and how to compare with the earlier status. We can use that specific component key or the product key. Yes, the execution is successful. Let me get into the server and check the status. Let me get into this particular project. Yes, it looks like the bug got reduced from 1 to it has become 0. The vulnerabilities code smells, it does exist. So in a quick summary, Scanner is a standalone program that's going to scan the code base based on the language that we have configured and is going to submit the report to the SonarCube server. And it can be submitted to any remote server as well. And developers can have a standalone scanner or they can integrate with other build tools like Maven or Gradle or other build tools as well. Hi, let us understand how SonarCube Scanner works with Apache Maven. Before getting into the discussion, let us have a quick understanding on what is Apache Maven. Apache Maven is a software management as well as a comprehension tool. Basically, it works with a POM file, project object model, which controls the project build, reporting as well as documentation. All the dependencies, required plugins, everything will be configured within the POM file so that developers doesn't need to worry about including the required dependencies or the libraries or the plugins. SonarCube provides a sample Maven project that is available from this specific location. I can download the entire source code from this specific location as a zip file from the GitHub. Within that, I do have a project dedicatedly made for Maven. If you observe very carefully, I will have a POM file and it has 3 sub projects. At this stage, let us not worry about the project. Say this particular Java project, it has a POM file and that will have details about who is the parent, what are all the properties, dependencies for that particular project. The same way, I will have a POM file at the project level in terms of what is the name of the project, artifact ID, what are all the dependencies. It has a dependency on the JUnit, what version of it, and all the sub dependencies it's going to download and resolve automatically. So once if I have this particular Maven project, I need to have the Maven installed in my system. Installation of Maven is as simple as download Maven from the website and unzip it. I have unzipped in this specific location. Within configuration, I have the settings.xml, which is going to control what are all the settings specific to this particular Maven. And within the settings.xml, I have put in the profile saying I am going to use the Sonar and where the Sonar server is running and the entire details on what needs to be added. I'll be adding it as a part of the course as downloadable. So these are all the settings needs to be added within settings, within plugin groups. I'll be adding this specific details from where the SonarCube Scanner, the plugin will be downloaded as well as the Sonar URL. I have these specific settings. Once if I do this particular configuration, I can use the Maven command and trigger the SonarCube Scanner, generate the report and make the report to get submitted to the server. I have the server running as a part of port 9000. Now I am going to build this specific Maven project. So I am into the command prompt of this specific SonarCube Maven project. I'll be using the command Maven clean install. That's going to resolve all the dependency of this specific project and download them and keep it ready. It's going to look for all the compiler errors, everything it's going to look for and keep the project clean. Well, the project build is successful. Now I'm going to issue the command Maven Sonar Sonar. That is the ID that I had provided as a part of the settings file. Sonar is the ID, and within the Sonar I'm going to trigger the Sonar command that will scan through the code, generate the report and submit it to the server. Well, the report is generated and it got submitted to this specific server, that is the local host, and I can check the status of the report from this specific URL. The report is processed successfully, saying success. Now let me get into the web UI, refresh. I should have a new project submitted by Maven. So I do have this specific project, example of SonarCube scanner for Maven plus code coverage by UT and IT. And it's going to give the details about what are all the bugs, vulnerabilities, the entire metrics about this specific project. Anything if I want to resolve, I can go ahead and resolve and run this particular sonar command once again and resolve the issues. So in a quick summary, Maven, it can very easily integrate with Sonar Scanner, and it can trigger the Sonar Scanner, generate the report and submit it to the server. As such, Maven, it involves a sequence of steps. As a part of that specific step, I can include the Sonar Scanner as well. Hi, let us understand how Sonar Scanner can be integrated with Gradle. Let us have a quick understanding on what Gradle is. Gradle is just another build tool where it can build anything, as well as easily it can leverage the automation and it get integrated with the automation process. Any project that needs to be built with the Gradle, we need to have a Gradle property file. Already I have Gradle installed in my system. It is installed in this specific location using the exe I have installed. And within bin, I have a Gradle command, and the bin is added as a part of the path of this specific system. Sonar Scanner provides an example for the Gradle where I can get into this specific location and download this particular project. Any Gradle project, it will have a Gradle file called build.gradle and gradle.properties. All the properties specific to that particular project, how that needs to get built, what version to use, what plugins, libraries to use, that will be mentioned within the gradle.properties, as well as build.gradle. It will have the information on the process, what step needs to get executed, what version of the libraries, all this information will be available as a part of build.gradle. If I get into the build.gradle, I do have the plugin org.sonarcube and what version of it, as well as I have put in the properties. What are all the properties specific to the SonarCube that I wanted to customize? I have put in the property, what is the name of the project, that is sonar.project name. I have put in the project name. Like this, there are n number of other properties that can be set. So these are all the different type of properties that can be set within the Gradle file. Now I am into the location where I do have the sample source code downloaded for Gradle from SonarCube. I'm going to execute the command Gradle. Since the bin of Gradle is available within the path, I can execute the command Gradle anywhere and mention SonarCube. Gradle SonarCube. This is going to analyze the entire project, generate the report, submit it to the server that is running, and by default it is going to submit it to the local host port 9000, and I'll be in a position to check the status of that specific project. The execution is completed and successfully it should have submitted the project to the server. Let's go ahead and check the server. I do have the project submitted by the Gradle build, and these are the metrics about that specific project. So in a quick summary, we have seen how Sonar Scanner plays a significant role as a part of the Gradle build tool. Hi, Let us understand how Apache Ant integrates with Sonar Scanner. Before getting into the details, let us have a quick understanding on Apache Ant. Apache Ant is a very simple build tool where it can create a pipeline of tasks in terms of compiling, building and generating the output. It's a very simple build tool, and it has a small configuration file called build.xml where n number of tasks would get listed and it would get created as a pipeline. An installation of Apache Ant is as simple as download the zip file and create Ant home. Apache Ant is unzipped in this specific location, and this specific location is added as a part of the Ant home as environment variable. As Ant home it is added, and the bin folder within the Ant home is added as a part of the path, so that the command Ant can be executed from any specific location. A sample Ant project is downloaded from the SonarCube from this specific location. So from the Sonar Scanner examples, Ant project is downloaded and it is available in this specific location. It has build.xml. Build.xml is having n number of targets, what are all the activities should happen and what should happen as a specific target. And within that I do have a target named Sonar. What it should do within this particular Sonar, one specific requirement is needed or to be configured for the Sonar Scanner to work along with the Ant, that is SonarCube Ant task, that specific whatever the version that is available .jar needs to be added as a part of the library, or over here it needs to be added into the build.xml. What I have done, I have downloaded this particular jar file from Maven repository and I have added as a part of the lib folder of Ant, so that this particular jar file or the required libraries can be used by Ant when it is executing the Sonar command. Now I can build this specific project. All I need to do is execute the command Ant Sonar. This would scan through the entire project, and whatever the profile that needs to get executed, the default profile will get executed and it would generate the report, submitted to the SonarCube server, and I can see the status of that particular code over the server. The code analysis is done and it is submitted to the server through the port 9000. So using the Ant, the project have been submitted and I have 2 code smells. I can get into the project and do whatever the action I wanted to do. I can take action against the issues. So in a quick summary, we have seen how to integrate Ant and Sonar Scanner so that the code analysis activity can be integrated as a part of Ant build task. Hi, let us have an understanding on what is SonarLint, how it integrates with Eclipse IDE, and how it is going to communicate with Sonar Server. First, let us have an understanding on what is SonarLint. SonarLint is a plugin which facilitates any IDE to do the real-time code analysis with the help of the Sonar Server. And it can be installed as a plugin. I'll show how to install as a part of IDE Eclipse. I can get into the option Help, Eclipse Marketplace, search for SonarLint. You will have a plugin which can integrate with the IDE and it can do the real-time code analysis and facilitates to do the code fixing in real time within the IDE. It's already installed, or otherwise it's going to give an option to do the installation. I can just click the install button and automatically it will get added. And the preference for the SonarLint can be controlled from this specific option, Windows, Preference, and I do have the SonarLint. I can have all the configurations for this particular SonarLint. Any files to be excluded, what are all the other options, the rules configurations, everything can be configured for the SonarLint from here. At the same time, for any specific project, within properties, under SonarLint, I do have an option, run SonarLint automatically. So what it will do, whenever the code change happening or we are making the code change, automatically it's going to run the SonarLint and highlight the suggestions or issues. Now I have the SonarLint installed and it has few view options. I can search for the SonarLint. Under SonarLint, I do have options to see the bindings, that is on which server this particular ID is bound to, and the reports and all the issues I can have a look. So once if I enable this window option, I should be in a position to get into this particular bindings. All I can do is let me delete this particular connection and create a new connection. Connect to a SonarCube server. Already the SonarCube server is running in my machine as a local host. I can connect to the server, or otherwise I can connect to the hosted option available as a part of SonarCloud. I'm going to connect to the SonarCube. Say next. It's going to ask for the URL. It's running in port 9000. I need to provide the protocol. Say next. It's going to give the option whether I am going to do the authentication using the token or username password. Let me go with the easiest option, username password. Token, we will be seeing it as a part of administration of SonarCube. I'll provide the username password. It will test and establish the connection. I can give a name to it. We can connect to multiple servers and maintain multiple connections. So this particular connection will be maintained with that particular name. Say finish. And I'm going to add this particular project and bound to the server. Say next. So it's going to ask for under which project it should get integrated with. So this is the project that is already existing within the Sonar server. I can identify with the key. So this is where the key is going to be very useful. Select the project and say finish. It will start with the analysis. I can open the SonarCube console. Yeah, I did the analysis and it's showing all the suggestions as well as the issues. Here, I should be in a position to see all the issues available as a part of the SonarLint. So these are all the issues available within this particular project. I can select any specific issue and get into the Sonar rule description, why it is an issue. What is that minor issue? It's saying minor. For example, this particular one is a major. I can get into the description and why it is a major, what are all the suggestions. It's going to give all the options. I can go ahead and do the fixing. So in a quick summary, SonarLint, it's going to give the real-time code analysis and it facilitates the developer to do the code fixing faster and quicker as well as in real time. Hi, let us understand how Sonar Scanner gets integrated with Jenkins. Before getting into the details, let us have an understanding on what Jenkins is. Jenkins is an open source automation server where it facilitates automation of building, deploying and testing of any projects and any scale. Basically, it is a server where it is going to manage a number of projects. If I consider a simple project, it will have a sequence of steps like getting the code into the source control system. Once the code gets into the source control system, the build should get triggered automatically. And once the build is successful, it should trigger a quality check. If all the quality gateway, that is all the required criteria, if it is met, then the product should be sent for deployment. So this is a normal life cycle or a pipeline that should happen automatically in any project. What Jenkins can do, it can facilitate the pipeline as well as triggering the activities when it should happen, at what stage it should happen, and what are all the different activities should happen and in what sequence it can be configured in Jenkins, and it can be done for all the projects within the organization. And Jenkins installation, it is available as a exe and it is installed within my system and it is running as a service. By default, it runs in the port 8080 and I can create a number of tasks. First, let us understand how to configure Sonar Scanner with Jenkins. So this is how the web UI of Jenkins looks like. If I get into manage Jenkins on a configure system, I can get into the SonarCube server configuration. So I can provide the SonarCube server, the name of the server, as well as the host name, that is the host and the port, and the authentication token. So how the authentication token can be added, let us see. And before that, I can have a number of Sonar server configured within the Jenkins systems. For different projects, I might be interested in connecting to different Sonar server. I can add a number of SonarCube server. First, let's understand how to add a SonarCube server. I'll be giving a name, the URL and the token. For any user, I can generate the token. I can get into the user, my account. Under security, I can give a name and say generate. That's going to provide me a token, and this is like a password to get into my account. For security purpose, I'm removing it. I'll be using the one that is already available. And once this is configured, it should have the capability to connect to the server and submit the report. Once that is done, I need to configure the scanner mentioning where the Sonar Scanner is available. For that, I need to get into the global tool configuration. There I need to mention where the scanner is. I need to give a name and where the Sonar Scanner is available. Sometimes it used to get referred as a runner. The earlier version of Sonar, it used to get referred as a runner. So don't get confused. Doesn't matter. So wherever the scanner it is installed or it is unzipped, it should be mentioned in the specific location and give a name. The same way I can have a number of scanner configured within the Jenkins. In case if this option is not available, under manage plugins, search for Sonar. If it is not installed, go ahead and do the installation. Since it is already installed, it is giving me the option to uninstall. So in case if you don't see the options as a part of manage Jenkins, get into the plugins and make sure the Sonar plugin is enabled. So what we have seen what Jenkins is and how to configure the Sonar server and how to configure the SonarCube server and how to configure the Sonar Scanner so that it can be made as a part of any projects that we are configuring within the Jenkins. Hi, we have the Jenkins configured and it is running in the port 8080. Within Jenkins, already the Sonar server as well as the Sonar Scanner plugin is well configured. So as we discussed in the earlier session, we have configured the Sonar server URL as well as the authentication token, and I have configured the Sonar Scanner. That is where the Sonar Scanner is available. In case if I wanted Jenkins to get that installed automatically, I can check this checkbox. Automatically the required scanner would get installed in the specific system. Now let us see how to add a project. Click new item, give a name to it, and I'm going to select that as a freestyle project. Say OK. You can fill in the description. And I'm going to get the source code from the Git. For the understanding purpose, I'm going to get the source code of a Tomcat project from the GitHub. It's an open source project. So I'm going to provide the specific URL that can be selected from the specific location and provide the credentials. So to add the credentials, I will get into the specific location and give a name, user ID, password, so that can be selected from this credentials options. So that the Jenkins will log into the GitHub automatically with this account, get a copy of this particular source code and start doing the build. And how the build should get triggered, I can make the build to get triggered automatically on different events, like whenever someone checks in the code, automatically it can trigger, or periodically it can trigger the build activity. I'm not going to make that automatic. Manually I'll be triggering it, and build environment is Ant. I can use other build environment as well. I'll be using the Ant, and I'll be setting up the first. I'll do a build task, then I will run the Sonar Scanner. As a part of the Sonar Scanner, I need to mention the property file where the property file for this particular project is available, or I can provide all the properties over here. So these are all the properties to be provided. The important property is the host where the Sonar server is running, that is running in localhost port 9000, and the project key, the name, version, and where the binaries would get stored. The build XML of this particular project is made such a way it will be storing the output in this specific location. So once this is done, I can save this particular changes and trigger the build from here. I can click build now. Since it's a new project, it needs to download the code from the GitHub, do the compilation, build it, and do the analysis and submit the report to the Sonar server. I'm going to execute the already executed project, that is sample job 1, so that the execution will be much faster. Let me trigger build now. The build got scheduled, and since I am using the ant as a build, already ant is installed, so automatically it will use that specific command. I can click that particular build activity, get into the console and see what's happening. It's going to download the code, do the build, generate the report, and submit the report to the Sonar server. The build is successful. Now it's triggering the Sonar activity. If we get into the configuration of that specific project, we have configured two such tasks. One is the build, another one is the Sonar Scanner. Now the Sonar Scanner is getting triggered. It's going to index all the files, do the analysis of all the files, and submit the report to the server. The job execution is successful, that is, the build happened and it generated the report, and the report has been submitted to the server. I can check the status of the report by accessing this specific link. So the status is in progress and it got submitted. Now I can get into the Sonar Scanner server and check the project details. So this is the quick summary about that specific project, and there is a background task that got submitted now that's still running. Well, the task that got submitted, that's also successful. So I can have a quick overview on how many number of codes I have, and in the recent build, one more code spell got added. The entire overview, I can have it from this particular dashboard. So we have seen how to trigger the Jenkins jobs and how Sonar Scanner can play a significant role as a part of the continuous delivery as well as automation. Hi, let us have an understanding on complexity metrics. Sonar Scanner provides two types of complexity metrics. One is cyclomatic complexity, another one is cognitive complexity. What is the use of complexity? Let us have an understanding. Basically, it gives the guidelines on number of paths available within the code. More the number of paths or more the number of logical branches, the code will have more complex testing as well as more maintainability time. So basically, the complexity code gets assigned depending on the number of paths, number of exit routes like return statements or break, as well as number of inner logic or number of inner loops we are having based on the logical conditions or the complexity of the logical conditions. The complexity value would get assigned. Every file will have a complexity value. More the complexity value for a file or a method means it is having more number of business logic. That means it's a very good candidate for refactoring or breaking them into n number of pieces. At the same time, the functions which are having more complexity value means more amount of testing required for that particular piece. Let's have an understanding on cyclomatic complexity. Basically, it's going to give a measure on how much amount of testing effort or how much amount of testing required for that particular code. That is not directly proportional to the maintainability of the code. That's why another complexity factor have been included, that is called cognitive complexity. Let us see with an example. Say within cyclomatic complexity, I have two pieces of code. One is with inner for loop, another one is a simple switch statement. Both giving the cyclomatic complexity as 4. But maintaining the inner for loop as well as understanding this particular piece of code is going to take more longer time than the switch statement. To address this issue, cognitive complexity have been introduced. Basically, the factor would keep on getting increased based on the higher number of inner structures. Basically, the nested structures will have incremental value growth, as well as whenever there is a break in the linear flow of the code, it's going to have an increment on the cognitive value. As well as it's going to ignore wherever we are using the shorthand structures or more easier understanding structures, it's going to ignore and not add cognitive number. Let us compare the cyclomatic complexity and cognitive complexity. Let's take the switch statement. The cyclomatic complexity, it ends up as 4, but cognitive complexity, it ends up as 1. At the same time, the inner for loop, the structure, the cyclomatic complexity, it ended up as 4, but cognitive complexity, it ended up as 7. The reason because the inner for loop, based on the inner structure, it would get incremented exponentially, or more weightage would be provided to the inner structure or inner for loops. Let us see within the dashboard how these particular values are represented. If I get into any project within the dashboard, under measures, there is a value called complexity. Within this, it's going to give the cyclomatic complexity and cognitive complexity. This value shows how much amount of complex logic have been put in within this particular project, as well as each and every folder, how much amount of cognitive complexity or cyclomatic complexity have been assigned. I can go up to the file level. For each and every file, how much have been put in, I can get in up to the individual file and see the value that have been assigned to it. For example, the complexity value have been assigned as 9 and 13 have been assigned to the other file. So we can use this specific cognitive complexity as a gateway, as a quality check. Any file having greater than X number of value for this particular complexity should not get through the quality check. So in a quick summary, we have seen what is the complexity factor, as well as two different type of complexity, that is cyclomatic complexity and cognitive complexity. Why cognitive complexity have been introduced, and what are the drawbacks that we have with the cyclomatic complexity, and where to check the complexity value for any file or project within the SonarCube dashboard. Hi, let us understand quality gate. Let's discuss on how the quality gate status is determined within the SonarCube status report. Before getting into the quality gate, we need to have some understanding on different ratings, that is maintainability rating, reliability rating, and security rating. We can set the values for this maintainability rating for any project. So let's have a quick understanding. If I get into the dashboard, I do have a quality gate where I can set what are the values for the maintainability rating. So what is this A? If I get into the administration, under configuration, within technical debt, the default value have been set. So 0.05 is A, very good. 0.1 is B, 0.2 is C, and so on. So how this particular value is determined? So basically, I'm going to have a value development cost. So development cost is how much amount of effort will get consumed to do the development of one line of code. At the same time, I will be calculating how much amount of depth I have. Technical depth is how much amount of time required to solve all the code smells and how much amount of code I do have. Based on this, I will be calculating the ratio, that is total time required to solve all the code smell divided by the effort required per line of code and how many line of code we do have within that particular project. So that's going to give me this particular ratio. So based on this particular ratio, 0.32, so that is above 0.2 and below 0.5. So it's going to define the value as D. I can change this maintainability ratings, this particular value I can change. Security and reliability rating, it is predefined and it cannot be changed. The same way, reliability rating is defined based on how many bugs I have within that particular project. Say for example, if there are no bugs, it is considered as A. If at least one minor bug, then it is considered as B. One major bug, it is considered as C, and so on. So if I have one blocker bug, then it is considered as E. The same way, can calculate the security ratings based on the vulnerability available within the project. So if I have one major vulnerability, then it is considered as rating C for security rating. And the same way, if I have one blocker vulnerability, it will be considered as E security rating. And all these three ratings will be assigned to each and every project. So if I get into the project dashboard, I can filter the project based on this particular quality gate, as well as the reliability ratings, security ratings, and maintainability ratings. Now, When I have these three different ratings, that is reliability rating, security rating and maintainability rating, I can define whether the particular project can pass the quality gate or not. So to define the condition, I can have a quality gate. I can create a number of quality gates. This is the default quality gate where it is defined as the coverage on new code, it should be less than 80% is an error. That is, it will get into a failed state. Any duplicated lines of code, if it is greater than 3%, then it will get into the error state or the quality gate will get failed. The same way I can create my own quality gate. And within that quality gate, I can add conditions. I can select a number of metrics right from the complexity, coverage, maintainability, management, reliability, security. Like this, n number of metrics can be calculated. Say for example, new issues, if it is greater than say 5, or another condition, maintainability rating, if it is worse than C, or unit test failure, if it is greater than 10 failures. Like this, I can add a number of conditions. I can go ahead and select a quality gate specific to the project, or I can make the quality gate as a default one. If it is not selected, automatically the default quality gate will be selected for any project. If I get into the project, I can get into the quality gate. So what quality gate should be applicable for this specific project? I can go ahead and select any specific quality gate for that specific project. As such, any new project, the default quality gate would get assigned. So in a quick summary, quality gate that's going to act whether that particular project should pass that conditions or not, and I can define a number of conditions for different type of quality gates, and I can assign the quality gate to a specific project, or otherwise the default one would get assigned. And within the quality gate, three major things generally it will be considered, that is reliability, security and maintainability. For reliability and security, we cannot change the settings, and for maintainability, I can get into the administration and change the values based on what condition the maintainability rating should get assigned. Hi, let us have an understanding on rules and quality profiles. Let us discuss on quality profiles first. Quality profiles are a collection of rules that need to get applied during the analysis. For every language, we will be having a default quality profile, and I can add more quality profile as and when it is required. Either I can use some built-in quality profiles, or I can create custom quality profile and add it. For example, if I get into the administration, marketplace, and search for different rules. Say for example, I can search for Java. For example, find bugs, that already it is installed. If I want to go ahead and do the installation of check style for the Java projects, I can go ahead and do the installation by clicking over here. It's going to have a set of rules, and those rules would get added as a part of the rules section, and all the rules would get grouped together as a profile. I can go ahead and select any other profile other than the default one. So within the quality profile within Java, I do have 6 profiles, and this is the default one for any project. I can go ahead and change the quality profile specific to the project. I can get into the project administration quality profile. So what quality profile should get assigned for that specific language, I can go ahead and change it over here. So quality profiles are set of rules that will be used for any project analysis. I can go ahead and compare with a different project. For example, I can compare it with the Sonar Wave and find what are the difference between these two rules. And these are all the rules that's going to get together to create the quality profiles. And from where this particular rules comes from, by default it is installed, or otherwise I can install it from the marketplace. So these are all the plugins. By default it is installed within the SonarCube location, extensions, plugin. And anything that I am installing it from the marketplace, it would get added as a part of the temp, exploded plugins. For example, find bugs was installed and it got installed in this specific location. Now within the rules, it will define for what language, what it is, and what are all the conditions. Let me get into the Java, filter them, and whether it is a bug or not. So it is defined on what condition it will be considered as a bug. So in a quick summary, quality profiles are set of rules that's going to get applied against any project, and I can decide which quality profile should get applied for any project, and for specific language I can go ahead and select. I can add more quality profiles as and when it is required from the marketplace. Hi, let us understand rules and rule template. Within the rules menu, SonarCube will list all the rules available as a part of the SonarCube installation. All these rules got derived from the quality profile that is installed within this SonarCube instance. Based on the quality profile, all these rules got derived. For example, within the Sonar Wave, there are 379 rules. I can either click those rules or get into the rules menu and apply the filter of that specific language or profile. Within the rules menu, it's going to list all the possible rules. Every rule will get applied to a specific language. We can check for what language it gets applied to and what it is, whether it is a bug or vulnerability when that rule got satisfied. I can filter based on the bug, vulnerability or code smell, as well as I can get into the quality profile and select a specific template and filter and check all the possible rules available. I can even customize and generate a jar file and add it as a part of this specific location within the SonarCube installation, extensions, plugins, and add the jar file over here. So those rules would also get considered. These are all the default rules available within the SonarCube installation. I can go ahead and create some custom rules from the template. If I get into the templates menu, there are some templates available. Using the template, I can go ahead and create my own rules. Let me select the language Java. There are 6 templates available. Let us take a small template, track commands matching a regular expression. So what the specific template would do, I can go ahead and create a rule based on this template where it is going to match a specific command and consider that as a rule and log that as a defect or whatever the option that we are selecting. Let us go ahead and create a rule using this specific template. So I have selected this specific template. So it's going to look into the command section. Say create. It's a code smell and severity. I'll mark it as minor. And status, it will get into the ready status. So it's going to So I'll use this specific regular expression. So what this regular expression would do, it's going to check for this specific statement. So I have created a rule. So this is what I have done. So what it is going to do, it's going to look for this specific word irrespective of the case. With this particular option would question mark and I would ignore the case. So this is the custom rule that got created. And I'm going to activate the quality profile. So it is activated. So whenever I'm doing analysis and if that specific code, if it is having this specific regular expression, it would log that as a code smell of severity minor. Let's go ahead and check this. I do have a small Java project where I'm going to have a comment saying, so this comment is having the keyword that I'm looking for. I'll go ahead and run the Sonar Scanner for this specific project and it'll look for the project key and it'll log the report against that specific key into the Sonar Scanner server. The key comes from the properties file, that is Java Sonar Scanner simple-2. The analysis of the project is done. Let's go ahead and check the status report. So this is the specific rule that was created. And it's going to give the message found the key in comment because it found the specific regular expression. So this can be used to log an issue or info statement based on the comment that I have. A similar way, I can go ahead and create templates where the resources should not be closed or any classes which should not be allowed within that particular project. For example, I may have some classes to store the password or to log the critical information as a part of the log files, and any constructors. I should not be using any constructors. I should not create objects, and I should not use any methods. So if I'm saying any methods, it will be logging that as a issue. So I can go ahead and create a key. What should be that particular method name, within what class, and what are the argument types, all the overloads or not. I can go ahead and create the rule. If that specific method is used, it will be logging that as a issue. So in a quick summary, there are some predefined rules. I can go ahead and use those rules, as well as there are some templates available. I can use the templates and create my own rules and get that attached to any specific quality profile and create the issues based on the rules that are getting satisfied. Hi, let us understand users, groups, and permissions. As a part of administration of SonarCube instance, I can create users, groups, and maintain the permissions. Let me get into the administration. And within the administration, I do have a security option where I can manage the users for this specific instance. I can go ahead and create more users. Let me create a user. Give a name to the user and email. And create the user. In case if the user is associated with any SCM, that is source control management system, I can go ahead and add the same user as well. I'm creating a user. Like this, I can have a number of users. At the same time, I can go ahead and add a user or make a user part of a group. I can set the permissions specific to the groups. By that way, I'll be in a position to assign a specific permissions for a group of users. So within the users, I created a user, user 2. I can go ahead and maintain tokens for this specific user to do a login or even to integrate with Jenkins or any third-party system. I can give a name to it. Say generator token. By this way, I'll be in a position to share this specific token and access this SonarCube instance using this specific token. Now within the groups, I can go ahead and create any group that I want. So I have created a group. I can assign more users to this specific group. So I can select the user and say done. So I have assigned a user to that specific group. Now within the permissions, the global permissions, I can set what permissions that specific group or that user can have. I can control the users or even I can control the groups. By that way, all the users specific to that particular group would get qualified for that specific permissions. I can make them as a system administrator or administer only the quality gates and the quality profiles, or execute only the analysis, or create only the projects, or whatever the permission that is required. As well as I can go ahead and create a template so that I can apply that specific template across all the users and groups. So I can create a permission template. Let's say, in case if I want that to get associated automatically to a specific project, I can give a regular expression which is matching the project. So I have a template. Let me go ahead and access this specific template and set what are all the permissions it should have. So what are the users, which user, and what permissions they will be having, I can set it. And I can set the global permissions, that is the default permissions for users and groups through this specific option. So this is just like any other systems. It's going to maintain the users, groups, and permissions what user can have. Once the user is created, after they log in, they will be in a position to manage their account from here, my accounts, where they can manage the tokens or change user ID password, and set the notification options. What are the notifications they should get through the email, and they will be in a position to get the projects they are administrating from this projects menu. So this is a quick summary on the users, the groups, and how to set the permissions for the users as well as the groups.